Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a Coaching to Flourish Q&A podcast here with Ashley. Hello, Ashley. Hello, everybody. Happy
Hello.
November, month of gratitude.
hmm
U.S. Thanksgiving is in a couple days, 2 days. Hope you got all your supplies for that if you're celebrating it and all those good things. How are you? How are things going?
Great. It's my dad's birthday today, so happy birthday to
Fun.
him. Thank you for your life. Love you. Shout out to the dad.
Is he watching? Is he in
I
this?
don't know. I'm
I'm
going
not
to send
sure.
this to him, though. He'll get a kick out of it.
Cool.
But yeah, things are going well. I can't believe it's November 22nd that it's his birthday. I've officially been in my house for a year, too. I've owned this home for a year.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So lots of good things. We have amazing things happening at CTedu, lots of cool things happening in life.
So we thought we'd take this. Ashley and I were just being just a little bit before this. We thought what we would do is do we have a couple Q and A's about coaching styles, a little bit about self care, and then also just a state of where Coach Training EDU is the coaching field in general, this organization specifically, and then yeah, that should finish it out.
Yeah.
So let's start with coaching styles. So we got an interesting question.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure where this question came from. It came from a group mentor class. And in this class, I was talking about different coaching styles. And the specific question is, my coaching style has been described as prickly. And I looked up the definition of prickly, and I'm not sure that I like that as a description for my coaching style. So I get it. And I want to talk about it because it is my favorite style. And I hope that my style is sometimes when I am leading 2.0s or from time to time, I talk about asking prickly questions. Questions that tend to not necessarily hurt, but are directive and make someone go, ooh, let me think about that. And I'm looking for that, ooh, let me think about that, because it's often the elephant in the room. It's often the questions that make people pause for a second and think more deeply about their life. Where this comes from is one of the people who trained me, Laura Whitworth. She's since passed. She passed in 2007. I was in a leadership program with her as the leader, and it was a 10-month program. She died in month 8, and it was emotional. We knew about it. She was a tough coach, and one of her favorite things to do was to put people on the spot. It reminds me a lot of Marshall Goldsmith. I was speaking with him in a conference in 2014, and he had this similar kind of let me put you on the spot and ask you the big questions that you might not normally ever ask yourself. These This to me is a prickly style of coach. It's a prickly question. It's a style that forces people to confront the things that they need to confront, but haven't necessarily had the space or opportunity to confront them in a safe place. And so, to me, the height of a coaching compliment is having a style where a coach can create such a safety in the space that they can ask these questions that are really challenging and force people to think about their life in different ways. That to me is a prickly coaching style. I hope I have one in some ways. I think I do. I feel like my style is very slow. I tend to ask a question and then wait. It's almost, I wouldn't call it a meditative, but it definitely is a slower pace. I'll take my time. I'm not in any rush. I'll slow it down. But I also, yeah, I could go into this. I feel like I have gone into this in lots of videos, but I hope that answers the question and, and helps put all of that into context. And Laura, I mean, her style was amazing. She would ask questions that would really put people on the spot, but they were life-changing questions. And I feel like these are the kind of questions that people are asking for, they're yearning for. This is the opportunity for coaches to really walk in sacred space with people and ask them questions where they are thinking deeply about themselves and their life. It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like getting to the heart of the matter, and it's one of my favorite coaching styles to be a client in. Like,
Hmm.
I love when I'm with a coach who is going for it. And there is something to, if you have the ability, and you can learn this as well, of creating that safe space to be able to get into those questions. And in designing the alliance with a client too, these are things that can be covered to be able to know how to meet your client and also to share your kind of coaching style so you can comfortably and confidently step into that as well. Um, and so, there are some clients that I've had that we've had that conversation because I like that style more too. Like, let's just get down to it.
Yeah.
Like, let's make this time, and it's not to push, but there's a lot of times you can see like, okay, this is actually where this person's at and what they need right now. So instead of being
Right.
around, and just meeting them exactly where they're at in that moment. Um, and so, yeah, I appreciate that style of coaching very much. When I'm the client, I'm like, let's just get to it. I want
Yes.
to, I want to figure this out. Let's get in here. And, you know, and I think that also can be a compliment to the client of, a lot of us are having all this stirring going on within us and already have a lot of these things kind of like just below the surface. And so if there's somebody to kind of help us just pull it up a little bit
Right. Right.
and to be able to be like, oh yeah, that's what's there. Like,
Hmm.
I've been feeling that, or, yeah.
I think what it also assumes is the client's brilliance. Like, if
Hmm.
you can assume your client's brilliance, your client's wholeness, your client's ability to meet the challenges, external and internal, and ask challenging questions at the same time, that's what my camera's going wild. It's like, yes, this is exactly it.
Pay
Like,
attention.
yeah, that's it. It's both. And so it's a both and. It's assume brilliance and ask tough questions.
Mhm.
I feel like if they're only tough questions and they feels like, oh, like you need this in order to do something or to, try to fix or offer advice, the whole process breaks down and it feels like yuck. But if there's assumed brilliance, direct tough questions, it's amazing. Coaching sessions are awesome. You should do it.
You should do. Well, and like what you're saying, there's a major difference if you're following the lead of your client and you're asking these questions as opposed to trying to lead the conversation yourself as a coach.
Right.
And
Right.
you're going to feel that within yourself as a coach too, if you're starting to do that. If you take a step back, and you're really leaning into level 2 and level 3, you can feel that kind of like, ooh, that kind of question would be because I'm trying to get something out of this session for this client and they're not there yet, or that's not what they need in this moment.
Right.
So if you're following their lead, those bold questions are going to, yeah, bring out even more brilliance within your client. So I think that's a really cool way to look at it.
Let's shift gears. Let's
Well,
go to what's happening at CTedu, what we have planned, some of the plans for 2023.
how
And
much are we
then
giving away?
I don't know. I know we haven't even talked about how much we're going to give away or not. I'm planning on very little, but I do want to talk about just a couple things, like two or
Yeah.
three. The big one is, like talking about like getting to the heart of the matter is something. One of the things that's been on my list to do, and now that we have a pretty solid, all the stuff surrounding running a coaching school, like an outward facing website. Now we have work in the back end, learning management system. We're getting improving that and getting that to be even stronger than it is right now. Is frees us time up to do a monthly mastermind where I'm going to be leading a monthly mastermind with our alums, looking at specifically business building or bringing coaching into organizations. And we're revamping the business launcher. We're going to call it Business Builder. We were just working on some pages earlier today. Ashley and I were looking at some of the drafts that we have for that for 2023. I'm pretty psyched about this. And in addition to that, we're going to have some workshops, which Ashley, you want to talk about
Yeah.
workshops
So,
coming?
um, I'm really, really excited for the notebook and the moving into the mastermind. We've had, we have John's expertise in this. We have trainers. Our trainers have all had their own businesses and built their businesses. And so we're going to have a lot of really neat perspective and insight coming into this. And so get pumped. If you're not a part of the Coach Training EDU community, come join us and join our mastermind. We also are going to have workshops in 2023. Now in 2020, we rolled out a bunch of workshops, and we are going to come back to having some alumni and coaches in training leading workshops that are in their expertise, where they can really share and showcase what it is that they're doing with coaching, and share their passion in hopes of hopefully serving all of you inside and outside of the CTedu community, but also to ignite even more passion within yourself to do what you are meant to do in coaching. So those workshops are going to be really incredible. They're going to have various topics. Those are dependent on the coaches in our community and what they are skilled at and what they want to share on. We also will have other workshops that are going to be specifically for those in the Coach Training EDU community. And this is going to be with our trainers at Coach Training EDU, and they're going to cover specific topics related to our curriculum. And so, it's going to be fun. 2023 is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be diving deep, I think, a lot more into what we have and adding more on. Our research team is just constantly just busting things out and making sure that we are staying up with all of the current trends and tools and movements in the coaching world. And so with the work that they've been doing behind the scenes this year, it's really set this really strong foundation for us to just have these workshops that are just going to be rock star status. So I'm really excited for them, especially to get our trainers in on them, and John, for you to lead some of them. It's going to be pretty amazing. So we're looking at having a couple of those a month.
Right. So we're looking at doing, we did this 2 years ago, felt like, but then things just got busy. The website project came, and so we're gonna fire these up again. And then the other thing is we are going to move forward with the applications through the state certified applications, as well as the Department of Education. So I think all of that's going to happen in 2023 too, which I'm just over the moon about. And looking at these accreditations, they're hard. We've been at this now for 5 years, so maybe even longer. I've been trying to get these accreditations through, and only now I think we're in a spot where we are ready to move forward with them. But what it does, though, I think these accreditations speak to, they are prompting us to address all of the areas of these all of the areas of the organization, and looking at what's the best practice in this area. How do we meet this? How close are we to this best practice? And then what do we need to do really ultimately to make sure that we get there? I'm looking at this as the perspective I'm taking is it's a blueprint for us to be our very best selves. And once we get it, then it's a message to the field, really. This is possible. Coaching has arrived from the standpoint of an organization has got ICF accreditation, Health Board accreditation, and now accreditation on state and national levels. That's a big deal for the field, and that's what I see coming up in 2023.
One thing that it just makes me think of is just we really care for all of you. We care for you, and we care for you to be able to come through a program and learn everything that you need to learn and walk out confidently and have the best standard, behind you. So it's just so much care for all of you in our community, and those even outside the community, we care for you too. But yeah, I was just thinking about that when you're talking. I'm like, man, it's really remarkable to go through the accreditation process and to see all the layers that we need to meet. And we really are just looking so closely at so many things. And it's a beautiful process. And it's been really fun to see it over the years just transform everything. And so I'm excited for it, and excited for people to be able to have more opportunities within it as well.
I'm going to be wrestling with my sound and leaf blower at the moment. It'll go away soon. The timing is fun. Speaking of timing, we're also looking at it's Ashley's 5-year work anniversary with Coach Training EDU. So a couple questions. Question one, looking back, what has been the biggest change that you've seen over the past 5 years? Or what's been the most surprising thing over the past 5 years?
That's a good question. There's been so much change in 5 years. Like Coach Training EDU has grown tremendously. Now the core values have not changed. Like those have consistently stayed true and have been deeply rooted since I started. But one of the really cool things, this is not surprising because I anticipated this joining the team and knowing who Coach Training EDU is, and believing in this company. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken the training in the first place, right? But just how much our team has grown, and to see people that are just rocking their strengths and doing what they are made to do in the organization is one of the coolest things. And so that's been one of the biggest changes, is just to see us boom in that way, which has inevitably, it's grown the curriculum and the research and our outreach and all of these things. And so that's been one of the most remarkable things, is to see people join the team that are like in it for coaching. They love people. Like our team genuinely cares about people first and wants to see people flourish. And so that as the foundation, and then putting them in their strengths and seeing them just go to town on things. And it's like, it's amazing, because there's some stuff when I first started, I'm like, I don't know how to do this. So we're going to learn it, which I'm so grateful that I got to do that. But to see people take that over and just rock it is one of the coolest things for me to see in the organization. And yeah, we've talked about how we've grown up so much, and that's just really cool.
Yeah, I remember the conversations and even hiring you, thinking, okay, like with the mice, like, okay, this is a big deal. We're now hiring our first full-time employee in a non-absolute necessity, like non-essential position, in the sense of we had someone dealing with, books and admin, someone on enrollments, but then it was like, okay, we'll bring Ashley in and hopefully we'll get to this point. It was a pretty big leap for us. But oh my goodness, I'm so happy we did it. And now the team it's substantial. Like and I feel like there's a lot substantial has shifted. Let's talk about self-care while this finishes. What are some of your favorite self-care activities, or what would you recommend? Because this is something that you and I have gone through. We've looked at this a bunch in the last couple of years.
Yeah. Are you talking about related to work or just life?
I think let's do work and life. This idea. So I'll go with this idea too, just to put a little bit of context with it. Mm-hmm. I have a dear friend from that same leadership program that Laura Whitworth led. She's a high-level executive. We were talking once, and she was talking about the difference between work-life balance versus work-life integration. Now that we're in this space where we have phones, you're connected to your work all the time. There's this idea of it's a balance, sure, but also even more importantly, like if you look at your life from a work-life integration, like how does work support your other life, and how does your other life support work? I think just asking that question is a really powerful question to ask, and it puts it in a different sort of paradigm and metaphor from, okay, this is my work life, this is my life. I want to keep them as separate as possible. Sometimes it's useful, like sometimes it's a really useful thing, but other times, I think it's actually more helpful to think of how can they support each other. So that's one thing, and then thing two, like when you unplug completely, what you need to do. Let's go to both of those places.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really good question. We only have 6 minutes. This time went by really fast. So for the work-life integration, I think that's pretty incredible. And I think we have such a unique company in work that it does overflow into everything that I do. So whatever I'm learning here is typically also ripple effect into my life. So especially when I'm learning new tools or reading certain blogs or things like that, and it's like, these are things that I can use everywhere. Even this is funny. There's a pest control person that came to my door a few weeks ago, like during the workday. So I went down there because he, rang the doorbell a couple times, and so I'm like, "Hey man, like I'm working. What's up?" He's like, "Where do you work?" And I'm like, "Life Coach Training Company." And he's like, "Do you know Tony Robbins?" He's like, "Oh," so I get to, but it's just funny, whenever I bring up what I do, there's always a lot of questions because it is just different. So I feel like I'm bringing it into pretty much everything that I'm doing. And it's completely changed and impacted the way that I connect with people outside of my workspace. Even just our team dynamic and how we operate as a team overflows even into the way that I show up for others. And so the integration part, that in and of itself, the professional development that takes place in our workspace, I think has transformed me and made a huge impact in my life. And, I was the first remote employee for our company 5 years ago. So we went remote at that time, and that transformed a lot for me as well, allowing me to be able to move and meet people and, even in my work day. So occasionally I'll go to a coffee shop and I'll get to like tell people about life coaching, so that's great. I did learn over the last couple of years to have a separate space for my work, to make sure that I have an office space. And for the first year and a half, I think I was working remotely. I had the living room or the dining room in Chattanooga, which was great. But I found it so easy because I really enjoyed what I was doing. I would come back and I'd work when I don't, when I'm off hours. And so I learned a lot from that season, and I'm really grateful for that. But, being able to have a space where I know, okay, this is specifically when I'm going to work on this stuff. Not a lot of the reading that I do and those kinds of things impacts what I do. So a lot of that stuff in my personal life will overflow into work. But when it comes specifically to specific projects or things like that, finding, okay, I need a certain space that I know that I can step away at a certain point, or I'll just keep going because it's fun. So what about you, John?
Yeah, I've been playing with a couple things, and this is almost done, which is the timing of it's quite silly, but it's life, right? Things that I've been doing the most is lately I've been stricter about my morning rules, about like what I do when in the morning times, and I've been really enjoying that. For instance, I usually get up super early, like around 4:30 my time, which is 7:30 East Coast time. So I almost consider myself to be, even though we live on the West Coast, I consider myself to be in East Coast time, and that's been amazing. I also have ideas of I don't pick up an electronic device until 6 a.m. my time, so 9 o'clock Eastern, and then I log in. Then I just go to town, But so I have a pretty good morning structure that I've been playing with the last month. That's been amazing. It was okay before, but now, wow! I feel like it's dialing in on a deeper and deeper level. And then the other thing too, is also getting away from this idea that everything needs to change. Because I think there is an element of, okay, when you in the life coaching world, and I'm speaking directly to coaches. So just so we're all clear, the audience is that I'm aiming for here as coaches, and what I'm talking about, the puppy dog stage of coaching, when you're in coach training, you think, oh my goodness, this is amazing, and then you want to coach train everybody. It's a beautiful stage. I was in it for maybe way too long. I absolutely loved it. Maybe I'm still in that stage. I hope to never leave that stage, but it's a beautiful stage, and it's a stage where you feel like, yeah, let's coach everything. Let's have there's a power of change. And then I think there's also what I'm embracing now is, yeah, change is awesome. And what are the things that I not so much want to change as much as refine or cultivate or curate? And So it's almost like, what do I want to hang on to? What do I want to let go of? I think in the past I've been into this space of, oh, everything needs to change, just like, do the whole thing and, tear it down, build it up again. So I've been toying with that the last couple of weeks. And this morning routine, it's not so much like a whole new thing as much as a refinement and getting clearer on the internal rules that really matter, that make the difference. So yeah, I'm heading into this space of November with a ton of gratitude for you, Ashley, for the whole team, for like the trainers, the participants, the larger coaching community, the clients of the coaches. And the last thing too, I want to talk about like work-life integration, especially from a coach's standpoint, a coach's standpoint, is when I was coaching full-time, when I had over 40 current clients, the thing that I've really leaned into and loved was this idea of my coaching sessions. I felt like became these islands of peace where I could go and work with my clients for that 30 minutes, 1 hour, and give my whole attention to them and really lean into that empathetic, deep listening, and let my own challenges fall away. And I had a really strong schedule because I worked a lot, mostly with students, some executives, but my mornings were usually free and my afternoons were usually packed. So I had a really clear split in my work life between, okay, this morning time, I know it's going to end at noon, and then at noon, I have to switch gears and go coach. So it was admin in the morning, coach in the afternoon. It was a really beautiful schedule, and it allowed me to have a lot of clarity around my work life, which was, and we also had little ones at that time too. And so so I recognize these seasons of life, and my hope is for everyone listening is that the season of life that you're in, you're able to find your pattern. You're able to find the thing that works for you. And for me, it's not so much a total revamping, but more like a cultivation or a small changes that more feel like a curation rather than a complete overhaul.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, John. I feel very similarly, where I think I've been learning a lot this year, specifically of just contentment and also desiring change or refinement. And so, what do I have? Where am I at to be grateful for? What is the beauty of the current state? And then where am I moving towards, and what are the steps towards it? And allowing that process in some areas to just unfold, as well as I take a step at a time, and really enjoy the journey of a lot of those the refinement and the change. And there's so much to learn in that, and to take hold of, and to celebrate.
Right.
And so that's really cool. I really love that.
Sweet. Let's do it. Let's finish this out, right? Look at us. That's a half hour. That's a fast half hour. And yeah, we did it. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, larger Coach Training EDU community. And for those of you, yeah, thank you. Happy November. Happy US Thanksgiving. Safe travels if you're traveling. And we'll see you next week. Bye,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you all so much. Take care.